All right. Please watch my video and you'll be an internet prince yourself.
When you hear Habbo Hotel, you probably think about autistic kids role-playing, pedophiles hunting them,
Habbo Hotel is inhabited by pedophiles,
and 4chan raids. Or maybe Quackity. I myself think about the game's economy. The currency in Habbo is not obtainable through gameplay. You must purchase it with real money. Habbo is basically the grandfather of microtransactions. They knew how to scam kids, and boy did they do it. Just listen to the lyrics in their latest promo video. It's basically subliminal messaging.
It's a game and everyone knows. I need some more coins, I need some new clothes. I gotta look fly when I talk to girls. I need some more shoes and everyone knows that I'm so popular. You gotta play nice, you gotta have gold coins if you wanna be popular. You gotta have gold coins if you wanna be popular. Gold coins if you wanna be popular.
I remember reading in the newspaper about parents put in debt because their kids use the home phone to buy Habbo coins for tens of thousands of dollars. And obviously, with the currency only being purchasable with real money, it had quite high real world trading value. Even today 1000 coins is worth about $70. That's a lot better than some countries. In a game like that you could not trust anyone. There was no content, but to become wealthier, friends you knew for years would scam you if you gave them the opportunity. So how does one make money on Habbo, you ask? Well, there is obviously trading. Some of the furnitures on Habbo are worth up to thousands of dollars, so if you knew what you were doing you could turn a profit like that. You could also swap money between Habbo and RuneScape with favorable ratios, like buying 11 million RuneScape GP for 50 Habbo coins, and then selling 10 million RuneScape GP for 50 Habbo coins. But the biggest earners were gambling and scamming. The most common way of gambling is dice games. The player trades a bet to the host, who then trades twice the amount back if the player wins.
This is a classic, not only in this, but people did this in World of Warcraft and a lot of other games too.
But there was no rules on Habbo against scamming. The host could basically just ban you from his room and keep the bet if he lost. If the player were to report such an incident, he would just be told that you should not trust other people with your items and that gambling is bad. To counter this issue, the richest players got together to make huge casinos where they would sell dealership position to players, which would then be removed if the dealer were to scam someone. Gold dealership would, for example, cost 600 coins, which would give the player sort of an insurance that he's okay to take a bet up to 600 coins. But just like in real life, the richest players were the last people you should trust. Every month or two we would close down casinos and drive the gambling community towards our new casino, hosted under a different name, to keep selling dealership positions over and over. This gold badge has 486 members. 486 members paying 600 coins is 291,600 coins. If 1,000 is $70, then that gives us $20,000. Imagine doing that a few times. Another way to earn was the Banzai teleport scam. This item will randomly teleport you to any other Banzai teleports in the room. Here I have 9 teleports. I placed 4 gold coins, which is worth 10 coins. I placed 1 silver coin, which is worth 5 coins. And the rest of them are empty. 1 go costs 5 coins. In theory, landing on each one would take me 9 attempts, which would cost me 45 coins, and there are 45 coins placed on the teleports, so that will give this game a 50% win-lose ratio. After 10 attempts I won 60 coins. But what not everyone knows is that you can stack multiple teleports on top of each other. After placing a few more teleports on the empty slots, your odds starts to look a lot worse. There are also what we called coin grabbers. These are basically a visual scam, a real sucker's bet if you will. What you would do is roll 2 dices, and the dices would act like coordinates, so 3 plus 3 would be a win, but rolling a 4 or above on either dice is a loss. Kids would view this as only half the numbers are gone, but in reality only 9 out of 36 possible outcomes is a win. In Habbo there are items called wards. These works just like triggers in the Warcraft 3 editor, if you are familiar with it. So for example, by using trigger, user walks on Fernie, and, effect, teleport to Fernie, I can create a teleport. With wards I managed to create a functional card deck inside Habbo. Blue 10s are kings, yellow 10s are queens, green 10s are jacks and blue 1s are aces. Using this I hosted a blackjack table. The left lever pulls a card, while the right one resets them all. So basically I draw one for player, one for myself, and another one for the player. Let's say player sticks at 15. I draw a second card. House wins. But my blackjack table had a catch. I added chat commands using Swedish letters to draw myself 10 and ace on demand, and chat commands are only visible to the user. So again I draw one for player, one for the dealer, and another one for the player. Player sticks at 20. I draw myself ace and house wins. This blackjack table was originally introduced on Habbo by me, and boy was it profitable. These are just a few examples of ways we got rich on Habbo. There was a lot of money to be made selling the profits on forums and playerauctions.com. But you don't need to take my word for it. Take the famous player Fish for example, who quit Habbo in 2013. After selling all his belongings he ended up with $55,000. And he was by no means the richest player on Habbo. You might think what we did was immoral, but honestly everyone else was out to scam you on Habbo anyway and we were just kids. If you think RuneScape have a large amount of scammers and lurers, you don't even know the half of it. If anything, this game taught me valuable life lessons. I learned to barter, I learned many of the red flags of someone trying to trick you, and I learned to never gamble. Because remember kids, the house always wins. Now you're probably asking yourself if you can still do this today 2018. I'm sorry to disappoint, but this was not meant to be a tutorial, but rather a trip down memory lane. Gambling was banned back in 2014, so Habbo could get a child-friendly rating on the App Store. There is still gambling going on, but the scene is really dead, and all the gamblers are using alt accounts to avoid bans, so there is a high risk of getting scammed. Habbo is 18 years old and on its last legs anyway. Unless you're Brazilian. The Brazilian server is bigger than the international one nowadays for some reason. Earlier this year 60% of Sulak's shares got sold to Orange Games. And they also released a new game called Hotel Hideaway, so the end is near. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Farewell.
Brazil. Yeah, when he said that, like, even friends you know for a year would scam you, that just reminded me of Diablo 2. But the scams were way better in this one, because like the blackjack one and the teleport plates, like those are just fucking, that's just a real fucking genius scam. In Diablo it was more about certain things you couldn't put, like there were a few scams in Diablo 2. If you don't include, like, oh, go to this link for free map pack, and it's just like when you download it, it throws out all your items you have in your inventory. It just drops everything in your inventory. You run around like automatically. If you don't include those things that you download in game, there were a few scams. One of them being items you cannot put in the trade window. You cannot put them in the trade window, so you have to, like, one guy has to go to one place, one guy has to go to another place. They can still see each other, and then you drop your items on the ground, and then you run past each other and pick up the other item, right? That was one that was used for scamming, because, for example, if in the main city, one guy could put his shit on one side of the fence to the main city, and one guy could put his stuff on the main fence on the city, and then they would run along the fence and then go where it opens up, and then go up and take the loot, right? But you could actually teleport. If you in the city, you cannot use any spells, but outside the city you can teleport into the city if you're like a sorcerer, or if you have a certain armor, enigma. So the guy outside would just, you know, drop, and then they would start running, and then he would just go back to his item, and the other guy just panics and he tries to go back to his item, but since he's slower, he just teleports in and gets both items, the guy outside town. So that was one scam. And then there was another place, another area I remember, but I don't remember exactly where you could get somewhere faster by taking a teleport or something. I don't really remember. But it was, and then, oh yeah, and then there was the actual trade scam, where you have these trade windows, right? In Diablo, the screen is like this, and one guy has his trade window here, the other guy has his trade window here, he puts his items here, he puts this item here, right? And this guy puts his item here, line in the middle, and then this guy becomes impatient, or pretends to be impatient, so he starts to like put it out of the trade box, in the trade box, put it out of the trade box, in the trade box, put it out of the trade box, in the trade box. But the last time he does this, he actually replaces it with an item that looks exactly the same but different stats. And everything in Diablo was about how good stats you had on your weapon, right? So like something that gives 2% is 100 times worse than something that gives 3%, for example, right? So he just did this, and then in the last he put a similar looking item and just worse stats, and then the guy doesn't double check, right? And then you're fucked. Of course, most of the times people would double check, and then you're just like in an awkward position, right? But there were a few scams in Diablo 2. In WoW, it was mainly just the casino roll thingy, right? Where you roll for gold and then you just kept the gold. Was pretty good shit, I remember. But Habbo Hotel seemed to have next level. You were a scammer or got scammed. It always started with getting scammed, right? Honestly, it was just the ecosystem. You got scammed, now you have to be the scammer to earn back what got scammed from you, right? You never started as a scammer. You didn't even know about scamming until you got scammed yourself, right? I might have done might or might not have done some or all of those tricks in the book. But that's just how Diablo was, you know. People still do trade scams in Path of Exile.
Don't smash it.
I mean, yeah, it's never gonna end because there's always gonna be kids playing the same game you're playing, right? So it was good times, I must say, for sure. But I got fucking scammed by someone that I played a lot with, right? Not someone I knew in real life, but someone I played a lot with. And I was like, and he was like, oh, after like a year of playing together, never doing anything suspicious. Can I borrow your Enigma armor? I need to farm this boss. And I was like, yeah, sure. Mine now. Fucking ignore list on. I was like, what the fuck? God damn. You cannot trust anyone, man. Cannot trust anyone. But no regrets. No regrets. Dan, thank you for